do yin and restorative. In this specific practice tonight, we'll be starting with yin asana postures, so long held deep stretch into the fascial layers in the body, contrasted by closing the practice with restorative, so getting the combination of both. And I'll talk about that and why they're different a little bit throughout the practice as we go along. Let's start in a brief seated meditation. Rolling your shoulders over your hips and lifting up through the crown of your head. Softening your jaw and letting go of your day, your evening. Knowing that you've done everything that you can do to show up and to be here. There's nothing to prove to me or to yourself or to anybody else in this next period of time together. Bring your hands to meet at heart center. Inhale and exhale. And we'll open the practice with one Om. Release your hands down to your thighs. If you're on a block, you can take the block off to the side. And we'll settle into child's pose. So you can make your way to your hands and to your knees. Bring your knees as wide as your mat. If you have a bolster, you're welcome to take the bolster in between your thighs and rest your chest down as you drape your chin on top. You can go without the bolster, whether if you have one or don't, that's up to you. You can also take a chip foam block or a rolled up blanket between your bum and your heels. And then you can turn one cheek down or the other cheek down, or keep your chin on top. Just starting to let gravity weigh your body down. So in Yin Yoga, we bring awareness into the deep connective tissues in the body, our fascia. Where we find this long held stasis in the body. And over time, the nervous system allows to go into the parasympathetic response of resting and digesting, feeling and being. Instead of thinking and doing, being in a space of the sympathetic, which would be your fight, your flight, your freeze, and your submit responses of the brain in the body. Let the breath expand into your back, wrists, into your lungs. We'll be here for one more breath. Exhale all the way out the mouth. And then you can walk your hands back along the mat, pressing up onto your shins, taking your bolster off to the side for the time being, walking the knees in, and then taking your block in front of you so you can place your knees on top. From there, tuck your toes and find your bum back to your heels for a toe squat. And at this point, you can take your bolster, or if you have a block, you can place your block between your sit bones and your heels to get a little bit higher. This might also feel a bit more supportive depending on how your body is shaped and how it's structured. We'll be here in stillness for a little bit, so if you need to bring the tops of your feet down, please do that at any point in time. We hold the postures in Yin Yoga from anywhere from 3 minutes, potentially up to 10 minutes, depending what we're doing in the body and what kind of props or lack of props might be part of the posture. And although there are upper body components in Yin Yoga, traditionally Yin Yoga is primarily in the lower half of the body, in the yin tissues. The yin and the yang symbol that most of us are familiar with. The black represents the yin, the shadows. And a little bit of yang is represented in that white part within the black, providing the body that little bit of activity and yang to balance out the shadow in the yin, and vice versa. It's okay for the mind to wander, for thoughts to enter and also leave the brain. Like clouds in the sky or raindrops from the sky to the floor, to the ground, let them pass as much as they enter. We'll be in this toe squat for another 30 seconds. You can throw a block at me if you want, but you might hit your phone or your laptop over, so maybe it's not the best idea. Taking another 15 seconds here. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. To release from the shape, go ahead and take your hands in front of your knees, removing your block if you had it with you. Place your palms down to counterweight the feet as they lift off the ground, and let the feet hang. Let the blood flow back to the toes. Wiggle the toes out when you have a chance. And then you can roll the ankles around in either direction. tap the tops of the feet out. Sliding off that block now. Coming back onto the shins for a moment. Tenting your fingertips on either side of you. Roll your shoulders back, pressing down actively through the tops of your feet like they're little flipper feet. Lifting your shins and your knees off the ground just a touch to find an ankle stretch to counteract the stretch in the toes. Some of you might be able to walk your hands further back, lifting your knees just a touch higher. If it doesn't cause you pain, you might find your skeletal variation allows for your knees and thighs to come closer towards your chest, but this is not required by any means. One more breath here. Sighing it out. Shift onto one side and take your legs out in front of you. You can start to gently tap out your legs. From there, take your soft block or a folded blanket or something in between, if you can, and tip the pelvis forward. Take your legs out on an angle wide, setting up for a dragonfly position we call in yin, or a wide-legged fold. Your legs can be relaxed and your toes can turn out, or they can point up more to the ceiling, or you can bend your knees as much as you like. As you inhale, bring your fingertips in front of you and lift your chest up. Exhale, walk your hands forward a bit, getting into the back of the legs here. One of my favorite meridian lines to stretch in the body in traditional yin yoga and acupressure from the Chinese medicine theory is the kidney and urinary bladder meridian. As I live with chronic mental health, anxiety, OCD in some ways, a little bit of PTSD. The ability to practice stillness and to bring energy into the kidneys and the adrenal glands is really powerful for mental health and for emotional calming. So allowing the nervous system to soften and soothe. Forward folding is one of those ways to do that. If you have a block with you, or a couple blocks, it might be appropriate to bring the block, and if you can't reach your forehead to the block, you can stack your fist on the block and rest your forehead on top of your fist. And breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. One more breath here. And begin to make your journey up to your seat. Walking in. You can bring your knees in and tuck yourself in for a moment and breathe into your back. And sigh. Inhaling, lifting yourself up. Good. From there, go ahead and we'll either thread the needle by putting the right edge of the foot on the left thigh and staying seated, lifting up tall to feel that activation through the outer right hip. Or double pigeon, taking your right knee on top of your left ankle and your right ankle on top of your left knee. Once you settle there, you can determine how it feels in your body. And take a breath in and a breath out. If you find you have more space in your hips without causing any strain in the body, you're more than welcome to tip your pelvis forward any amount, using your fingertips as your brakes. Walking the hands potentially even further forward and coming down even to your forearms. Breathe in here. Breathe out. Again, if you have a block and you want to reach your forehead down to the block, that's available as well. Walk your hands carefully up. Transitioning is even or more as important as coming in and holding. Lift your right leg up and take it out. Same for your left. Tap out your legs, letting things adjust. And then you can take your right foot flat and place your left outer edge of your foot on your right thigh, and you can start there. Or if you want to take double pigeon, savasana, fire log pose, go ahead if you like, taking your left ankle on top of your right thigh above your knee, and your left knee over the right ankle. Option one, you can stay here, flexing your feet. Option two, you might start to roll forward just slightly. You can walk your fingertips forwards until your body tells you it's had enough and it's found its own end range. Or rest your forehead down on the block if it serves you. Be very cognizant in the body in case if you notice anything is causing pain or compression where the bones start to hit each other. And if your body is stuck there, it's not asking for it to be pushed through, but to actually hold off. So in the end, we tend to say go just to your first edge, because it will get deeper into the fascia once the body realizes it's not just going into the superficial tensile muscle tissue. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Deeper exhale. About halfway through the left side, wherever you've chosen to land. Last couple breaths here. Inhaling to press yourself up to your seat. Walk your hands behind you. Lift your knees for a second to take the left leg off and forward, and then the right leg off and forward. Inside your leg to windshield wiper from side to side. Cross your ankles, sit into a brief meditation just to connect to your breath a bit further. As we transition into our restorative postures. So for restorative postures, having a bolster is going to be quite helpful, or a few blankets that you can fold up to make a bolster similarly. Take your two foam blocks like so, let them make an L shape, and place them at the back of your mat. Once they're touching at the back of your mat, take your chip foam block, or your equivalent, or not at all, but if you do have something like that, place it just about an inch or so up on that flat block, and then place your bolster over top of those blocks all together. If you have a blanket with you, the blanket can either be used in a couple ways, especially if you have a couple blankets and you might use it in both ways. You can always take your blanket and place it in front and sit on it with a little bit of a lift on the floor. So that's what I'm going to use my blanket for. And then if you want, you can also drape the second blanket over you as you recline back onto your bolster into a very supported back bend. Let your arms rest down by your sides. Take an inhale through the nose. And an exhale through the mouth. Inhale. And exhale. Breathing in. And breathing out. Your legs can be flat with the knees pointing up, or you can extend your legs long and wide. Maybe take the feet together and butterfly you wish. And then resting the hands on or off the body, however your body is asking of you. So, a lot of people ask me, what are the differences between restorative and yin yoga? Although they might use props and positions are held for an extended period of time, and they're more passive. Yin yoga, if you look at a spectrum, can be considered much more active and yang, and restorative would be considered more yin. Restorative, we're trying to nullify deep stretch and strain in the body, so that way the props hold us up without us having to give into anything besides the support. Helping us to disengage from the need to contract our muscle tissue and our fascial tissue. In restorative yoga, one of the main things, in addition to, like yin, achieving the parasympathetic nervous system, is also the natural relaxation response. That connection in the body where we release more of the human growth hormone, which aids us in healing and deep restoration. Restorative, classic restorative. It's common sometimes to feel a stretch. However, that is not the main reason why, or the main intention for the restorative practice, whereas yin very much does connect in that way. Another distinction with restorative yoga posture work is we are required around 10 minutes as a minimum in each posture, or longer, ideally. It's apparent that that's how much time our brain needs in order to arrive into that state of the natural relaxation response. knees without any rush. You're welcome to stay here for longer. You don't feel the need to move a single muscle. If you wish to stay here for the rest of the practice, please feel welcome to. Otherwise, we'll take a deep inhale. All the way through the mouth, exhale. And then carefully bending one knee, placing the foot down, and then the next. And then shifting yourself to one side, pressing up to your seated position, and rounding your spine. Closing the eyes to stay inward. For this next position, you'll keep your setup as you have it, but from your seat, press your left hip into the bolsters and the blocks, and then stack your knees on top of each other. You can take a second block or blanket between your knees as well if you like, and you can also straighten your legs out and play with different angles. Place your palms on either side of your bolster. Inhale, lift your chest up and turn to the left. And exhale, lower yourself down, bringing your chest onto your bolster, turning your left cheek down, and resting your palms on either side, coming into a supported twist. Let your belly hang and breathing deeply in through your spine. Letting the bolster and the blocks hold you up. Softening any potential tension through the face and the jaw, the teeth. here for 1 more minute. Next inhale, lifting up your chest, carefully walking your hands back towards you. Turning to the side for a moment and rounding into your spine. Nice flexion through your back. And then all you need to do is swivel, bringing your right hip against your bolster structure now. Finding a comfortable position for both legs. Press your palms down and inhale, lift your chest up. Exhale, rotate, lower your chest down towards your bolster. And turn your right cheek down. Settling here. Inhale, turn your chin back to neutral. Press your palms down to come out of the twist. Easy does it here. And then hug your knees in towards your chest. Lifting yourself up. From here, we'll set ourselves up for our inversion, which will also be our shavasana. So with the bolster and the blocks, you can take your blocks and bolsters for a second apart. Take your 2 blocks and have them on their highest setting. And have them around the width as your chip foam block, so that way your chip foam block is fully stabilized on its own structure. I kind of like to say it's like a pause button with a stop button on top, and then you place the space bar over top of that structure. Once you have that structure, you can slowly begin to bring your legs wide. Get your seat nice and close. Use your hands to stabilize the structure as you bring your legs and create them up over top. And then your blanket can come either over top for a little bit of weight, or hold on for a moment as you bring your forearms down to your mat. Keep pressing down and lift your bum up, scooch it forward. There we go. And begin to inch yourself down into your restorative shavasana. Nice elevation here, reversing that flow of energy. And now for the blanket here, the blanket can just be draped over you nice and easy, or you might make a little rolly, little kind of a sushi roll with your blanket, and then place it beneath your neck, letting your neck curl over top so your cervical spine can relax. And if you have an eye pillow or some folded tissues, something to block out the light, you're welcome to place that over your eyebrows, to the forehead, but not over the eyeball or the eyelid, so you don't cause any pain. You might even make a little nest with your blanket, and then resting the back of the skull in the crook of that little nest for the head. And then resting your arms down by your sides when you have everything set up for Shavasana. Take another full breath in here. And out. Let it all sink in. start to deepen your breath. An even deeper sigh of your mouth. Wiggling the fingers and the toes, and the wrists and the ankles. It's okay if your props tumble over. That's totally fine. Hug your knees in towards your chest. And rolling over to your preferred side. And pressing up to your seat. You can even drape your blanket around you if you like, for a little extra covering. And then rest your palms facing up in your lap. It's a symbol of gratitude and appreciation for this practice and the beautiful components and complementary attributes of yin and restorative yoga, how they support each other and how they differentiate. Bring your hands to heart center. Inhale. And exhale. We'll take an Om here. Thank you so much. Drink lots of water. Take good care of your body, your mind, and your heart. Namaste.